Welcome back to Lives from the Tabletop. I'm your host, Mikey No Fonts. I'm really sorry that we've not been around for a little while, but as you can see, we've been a little bit busy. We've been building a brand new recording studio. We've got a brand new camera. We've got a brand new microphone, hopefully to bring you the best tES content possible to yourself and your devices at home. We really do hope that you enjoy it. No longer will you have to look at PJ's face in anything less than ultra high definition. What an absolute treat for all of you. I'm sure you'll all agree. But without any further ado, let's get on with the brand new tES podcast.
Hello, welcome to finally a new episode.
It's about time.
It's about time. So I'm Captain Thalco, if you don't know or haven't guessed. And today we're going to talk about the Banu Haqim.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Up and coming, formerly terrible clan. Who are
formerly terrible, yeah.
Yeah. So you've probably all noticed they're doing quite well in tournaments at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been playing them yourself?
Well, it was actually the first ever deck that I played back when they were known as the Assamites. I was a young, plucky tES wannabe player, and PJ handed me this deck, and it was was questionable.
I didn't know how to build it myself at that point, though. To be fair, it was pretty bad. And I'd never built a combat deck. We were,
Yeah, he called it a toolbox that just didn't really do anything.
Oh yeah, sorry, it was the first time I tried toolbox, that's right. Yeah, it was it was like hunting with that. There's like an action modifier that gives them an extra blood, and it was...
Oh, it was poor, but the deck does a lot more now.
It does a lot.
Yeah, it does a lot more now.
Yeah, when you build it does things. So should we start with taking a look at the pre-con available at your friendly local gamer stores and online and such. Easy place to start for a new player, solid place to start for a new player. Do you want to read through the crypt?
Yeah, so in the crypt we do have 15 masters and 8 trifle. So we
library.
Oh yeah, it is in the crypt. Yeah, crypt. Well, I mean, no, you've absolutely thrown me under the bus there because these names are so hard to pronounce.
That wasn't intentional, but I'm loving it.
But I'm now gonna butcher them.
Do you want to swap over then? Do you want me to do the crypt?
Please.
I'll butcher them confidently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm into that.
So there's 2 copies of Cassandra Tasaki. Do you want to mouse over them at least? So
Yeah.
Cheers. I'm familiar there anyway because she's really powerful. So she's a 6 cap prince, which is already good. Advanced thaumaturgy, advanced celerity, and basic obfuscate. So she's got both combat disciplines at advanced, which is obviously fantastic.
Yeah, it's great for playing that those Hunger Mardukes at advanced.
And additional striking with them.
Yeah,
as well.
Exactly. Oof.
And then after her, we've got 2 of her inferior ally. Also a prince, Warmixon. He's a 5 cap, advanced thaumaturgy, but his celerity and obfuscate are basic. So he's a bit lacking compared to the mighty Cassandra. Yeah,
and that basic celerity can hurt you sometimes as well. Anyway,
considering everything other than quickness needs advanced to additional strike.
Yeah,
it's quite a big deal. And we've got Kasim Bayar. In my build, I've personally made him a bit of a star because I'm just like that.
You are a star.
Oh, babe. Now you're here. I can actually kiss you in person.
I know. People can actually see it or even understand us.
They can see our...
See, I'm built like an absolute unit. Yeah.
It's a squeeze. Feel like purple,
What?
So Kasim Bayar. Anyway.
Back onto the tES.
He's a 9 capacity Justicar. Once each combat, you can discard a political action before range to get +2 strength for the combat. And that's the whole combat. So if you press, carries on, and he's got +1 bleed. Who doesn't like that?
Yeah.
He's got the clan advanced with a couple of out area basics, which aren't too shabby either, or specs and potence. So considering he's got an inbuilt +2 strength, playing Mortal Grapple with him could be quite fun.
Ugh, don't mention that card name around me. Yeah, Immortal Grapple.
Well, surely you'll be a fan of it now, though.
I mean, well, we'll get on to the way in which I play the deck, but I feel like I'm a little bit of a polar opposite to you, but we'll get there. Yeah. We'll get there.
Then one more prince. We've got Farah Sarub. She's got
confidence
again. The Thaumaturge and Celerity Advanced, basic Obfuscate, and an Outplan basic of Auspex, which pairs with Kasim, I guess. Then we've got Kalinda under her. She's sadly got Thaumaturgy basic, but Celerity Advanced and Obfuscate Advanced. She's only a Primogen at 6 capacity, but has one of the best special text in the crypt, which is you can burn the edge once a turn to unlock her, which is fantastic. It's
pretty nuts. And also, what I kind of like about her is that she does have the advanced Obfuscate, yeah. And so, having the ability to use Swallowed by the Night for the maneuver, to allow you to go to long range, and obviously with Hunger of Marduk, that comes in.
Which is something a lot of the crypt can't actually do so far.
Exactly, yeah. So that's Kalinda anyway.
Yeah. Then Khadija Al-Kindi, she's got all Clanner Advanced and a Primogen at 6 capacity. That's fairly solid. I've seen actually someone go the Primogen route, using those two.
Yeah.
And then using Protected District for the bleed reduction. Mm-hmm. Gives you a bit of defense options other than second charge, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. I think having the princes is really good for the second trads.
Yeah.
You do notice it when you don't have the prince to get that +2 intercept, and at the same time, you also miss your advanced disciplines when you don't have them as well. So it is a real trade off, but that's what the deck building's all about, isn't it? It's getting that balance.
Yeah, the bleed reduction's nice, but I think realistically with second tradition, you're more likely to be blocking someone playing an ivory bow or some sort of combat card that could really hinder you, which we'll get to a bit more later.
Yeah, of course.
Then we've got Asmin Cobain, Kurt's younger sister. She's got advanced celerity.
Also has an AK instead of a shotgun.
Yeah, she's got an AK in the image, but not in the game, unfortunately. No built-in 2-range, 4-range with the maneuver.
Yeah.
So it's 2-range. Never mind. First non-title vampire, 5 capacity, advanced celerity. Great in just the celerity deck.
Yeah.
Basic in the rest of the clan, and basic dominate thrown in, which, if you're playing a celerity guns deck, gives you some grave robbing ability, which is quite nice.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. And
then we've got Greg Mazzuni. He's our classic everything basic kind of guy for 4. We've got Nayarana.
Yeah, Nayarana. I think that's a good way. I love this card, by the way.
She's great. Fantastic artwork by our good friend Nora.
Yeah, well done, Nora.
Advanced Thaumaturgy, basic celerity.
The advanced Thaumaturgy is massive with this, because the fact that you can press and go to range still with her, and
she slots nicely in the Tremere deck as well.
Yeah, I think the other day I legitimately stole 8 blood off another vampire with just a vampire that I got out on turn 1. Which it's disgusting. It shouldn't happen, but it does, and that's why we love this deck.
Yeah, she's great. And Bijou, which is just a slightly worse version of Neorana. She's a 3 capacity with celerity and thaumaturgy, but both are basic.
Yeah, but she also has a really great message. No, just be you, be yourself.
Be you.
Just be you.
Just be you.
I'll let myself out. Anyway, shall I now go through the library? Yeah.
Do you want to go through it?
Yeah.
Taxis here.
Yeah.
So you want to hit the Masters?
Yeah. So Masters. In case you didn't already know, there are 15 Masters and 8 Trifles. A card that we've spoken about on the podcast before is Haqim's Law Retribution. Obviously, the most powerful Master card in the deck, I find. I do think that you can't have enough of these. I think they're...
You certainly feel not having it.
Yeah, you do feel not having it, but also you feel like, when every single one of your vampires can bleed for upwards of 5 is nuts. And also, so it creates that absolute dichotomy, doesn't it, between, well, if I block these vampires, they're going to absolutely torpor all my vampires, they're going to steal all my blood, but if I let them through, they're going to bleed me for 6, and so, you know... Well, yeah.
So deflect's your best option, and if because blocking or bleed reduction are obviously great.
Yeah.
But blocking these guys or taking the bleed is going to be terrible, and that's a powerful message to send to your prey. In one card.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're getting 4 of those bad boys.
Yeah, and you can't interact with it either. You can't steal it as a D action or burn it as a D action.
It's not a location, so there's not cards.
And also it doesn't cost anything. It's a pretty nuts card. Another really good card in here, Market Square. It's just the basic location to give the Banu Haqim +1 intercept, cost them 1 blood. I love this next card as well as Priority Contract. The ability to enter into a combat with any vampire controlled by your prey is amazing, and also to be able to do that as a +1 stealth action as well is incredible. It really, really is amazing. There is a small problem with this card, and it's a problem that I kind of ran into the other day, is that because it's unique,
you've got to be burning them.
You have to be burning them, but also I was playing against a Diablerie deck the other day, and I put a Priority Contract on someone selecting one of my vampires, and then a turn later my Predator Diablerized the vampire that
that you selected with the contract.
That I selected with the contract.
Ouch.
So the contract just stayed on the table, meaning I couldn't play another one. There's
an interesting way around it, and it's going to sound silly and it's obvious, but ousting your prey. If they get ousted, you can burn it and gain 3 pool because it leaves play.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, it says when it leaves the ready region. So if you're running Hunter's Mark or any other anti-combat effect, you can still beat it up with a different minion.
Yeah.
And claim the prize.
Yeah, you can.
Which is great. It doesn't have to be anything to do with that specific minion. But that is quite funny. Yeah.
It was a horrible interaction, and well played, Tommy. You know who you are. It was a really nice playmate. Meaning that I couldn't get anything out of the rest of my Priority Contracts.
Clever resource denial, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Next one, tension in the ranks.
Ranks be tense.
Yeah, they do. Every time a minion leaves the ready region, goes to torpor, burn a pool. Little bit of a table hate card, but also someone can just discard 2 masters as well. And if you're anything like my friend Captain Thalco here, he's already got a handful of green cards that he wants to get rid of anyway. So you're kind of helping him out. But
if it's turn 6, I'm gripping 7 green.
And then last couple of master cards to mention is of course Underworld Hunting Ground.
It's a hunting ground.
Hunting ground.
Does what it does.
It does the job. It's great. And then also Verlaine, and I love this card in this deck. I love this card anyway. It's one of my favourite cards. But the fact that you can guarantee stealing blood turn after turn and doing it multiple times as well in this deck means that sometimes you might be a little bit sheepish with your Verlaine. You might play it and go, I'll just take 2 or 3 blood off. In this deck, every time it's 5 blood off, gaining it all back, because the second that you're in combat with another vampire, your vampire is going straight back to full, and actually blood is falling off your vampire after most combats with this. So don't, if you're playing this deck at home, don't be afraid to Verlaine for the full 5. It really is a game changer.
Unless it's on Bijou's a 3-cap, you're gonna have a problem there.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, they can block you.
Don't upset your judges.
They can block your mandatory hunt if people want. If there's nothing to do, just Verlaine for 4 off your Greg Mazzuni, and then.
Well, that's one really powerful thing. We should probably wait until we talk about Ogre. But if they block you when you're empty, you can just fill back up.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Yeah, it was the Spider-Man villain, who I only remember it from the Amazing Spider-Man cartoons, but he was a bit of a meme recently. Jared Leto played him, and he had like the thing in his hand.
Mobius, maybe?
Mobius, yeah. Like, you've got like a team full of Mobius just drain absolutely everyone from all of that.
Morbius, the living vampire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Morbius, not what we say.
But yeah, anyway,
Mobius was the Matrix.
Yeah. Morpheus.
Oh, Morpheus. I don't know anyone. Never mind.
We're just chatting rubbish.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on. Anyway, let's get back into the action. With the actions.
I'm getting you covered for you.
Yeah. Well,
right,
go on. Take us through these, mate.
Is this because you don't have to say the word?
Well, you could do it confidently and butcher it, can't you?
Biothaumaturgic experiment. There you go.
Yeah. Like, you're gonna edit in some like those sunglasses, and then Snoop Dogg's gonna play.
Sounds good to me. Crudely draw a spliff in my mouth.
Yeah.
Have I got to do that now? 2 fleet. So one copy of Biothaumaturgic experiment, 2 fleetness, 4 Hunter's Mark, which is a new card for this deck, and Rooster's Hand.
That's definitely not enough Hunter's Mark. I love Hunter's Mark. It's so good. It's the thing is, like, sometimes like I specify that I'm doing it at basic as well, because I think having that like optional press is incredible. So if you know you're not playing against,
you get the press advanced as well. It's as above.
Oh, it's as above.
Yeah.
May I've been playing it wrong. Oh, it's even better than I thought it was.
It's alright. It's alright.
So, I thought you could either choose one or the other.
It's okay, man. No one taught you to read. So.
No, yeah. I mean, reading's tech in this game, isn't it?
Right.
All right. Well, fair enough.
Swiftly moving on then. Political actions. You got 2 parity shifts.
Well, no, I've played this with like veterans of the game, and no one's corrected me. That's probably because they don't want me doing the advanced.
I mean, it is an optional press, so
yeah,
if you don't do it, that's on you.
Yeah.
To be fair, it might just be because a lot of your crypt can't play it in advanced, so you might have just not really realised because of that.
Yeah.
Our girl Cassandra can, obviously.
Yeah.
Champion of the deck.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is like, you know, you do go against the Majesty type decks and the Earthmeld type decks.
Definitely.
And also the great part about Hunter's Mark for me is like I almost like exclusively save them for going backwards as well, because to go forwards you've obviously got the priority contract.
Yeah.
And Hunter's Mark is to go backwards as well. So first Hunter's Mark, I get, you know, if you're my Predator, that's one of the first things you're going to see from my Banu Haqim deck.
It's about sending a message.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. So next we've got political actions. There's 2 parity shift.
Oh well, no, there's one more card actually.
Oh, I did mention that, but we went back. Yeah, Rooster's Hand's great. It's a solid action. Costs 4. Well, costs 1, but you go to Torba. It's a complicated card, but basically it costs 4, and you get an extra action from next turn onwards. Which, as we've covered, you don't really care too much about paying blood in this deck. So
yeah,
it doesn't cost you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those cards that, like, once you get it, you go, oh.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for example, with Cassandra, you know, you just go, well, take 4 damage, and, you know.
I've only once played it at basic, where I took the unpreventable lag, went to Torpor, then thought with my Star Vampire, and I was like, right, then I'll just rescue, because the guys next to me have got like no intercept. So then I'll rescue, I'll spend a blood on there, and I can then do stuff with this Vampire. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. And then got Eagle Sight blocked, and then Diablerized. So never doing it again. Never again. Then parity shift, solid bit of bloat, strong political action.
Is it?
It is.
I've
it's not instant as lawful because you bleed for 8 and then go, are you on less pool than me? And they go, are you unmortal than me? And they go, no, I'm not. You've just bled me for 8. And you're like, right. And also she can't play it. So never mind. But it's a very good card in the right deck.
I just think that this is quite a bloaty deck though anyway, because...
You've got to remember though, there's no bleed defense package in this. So you're likely to get bled for 8 and then steal it from your prey because you've just been bled for 8. There's no deflections in the deck. You're counting exclusively on second traditions. So it's in there to help against aggressive decks. And if it's dead in hand, you discard it to Kassim Bayar for +2 strength and then beat the crap out of people with them.
Fair play. Card special text right there.
Reading's tech.
Always.
Remember, kids, always read your cards. One retainer, Mr. Winthrop. Solid guy. Always turns up with a glass of wine and 1 intercept. Hey guys. By the way, you're getting bled for 8. And you're like, oh, thanks. Again, helps you block equipment, which I think is good in this deck.
Yeah.
Then we've got action modifiers in combat.
Yeah, so 8 of these. There's 2 resist Earth's grasp, which I think is a fantastic card. It's such a great card because it's flexible. Yeah. And so
this is one of my favourites.
Yeah. And so the idea that you can either press, maneuver, with an optional press, is just incredible. Like I used it the other day for stealth. Yeah. As well,
getting in that final push.
Yeah, because why not?
Key actions resolving.
Yeah, so absolutely excellent card. But also the fact that if you're through anyway and you don't get blocked, it's just a perfect card to discard to Haqim's Law Retribution as well. So it's always live. It's absolutely always live card. The next card as well. Just to again keep helping to push things through is Swallowed by the Night, +1 stealth, and then at advanced obfuscate we have the maneuver as well, which is great in a deck that's stealing 2 blood at ranged. Yeah.
What's interesting about this card is with the resistor, because there's so much basic in this deck, the Resistor's Grasp is, a fair few can play the advanced celerity, but very few can play the advanced on this. So this is predominantly in there for stealth that counts as a combat card for Haqim's Law Retribution. Yeah. Whereas Resistor's Grasp is predominantly a combat card that can be stealth. Yeah. So it's like they do the same job, but they're actually the opposite. Yeah, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, brilliant. And so next we've got the reactions page.
Reactions? That's me reacting.
Never do that again.
So 4 on the Key Vive. Everyone should know this one. It's pretty much a staple.
Wakey, eggs and bakey.
Wakey, eggs and bakey. Then 8 copies, which is quite a lot, but it's the only defense you've got. So
I don't think it's
second
enough.
Tradition day. Yeah, that's the problem. When you don't need it, it's too many. When you do need it, it's not enough.
Can you have enough?
8 second tradition.
Oh, in I want to wake and block your guy and beat up your guy with intercept.
Unlock and block.
Unlock and block. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Unlock and block.
Yeah, very important distinction.
Yeah, great card. If for some reason you're not familiar, it's you can put 2 intercept requires print of just the card. Burn blood to unlock and attempt to block with 2 intercept. One or the other. Pretty strong card. Yeah. Then we can go into the combat package, which is fairly hefty in this.
Yeah, and it's going to have to be as well because obviously we want to use most of these cards to beat up our opponent's vampires, but also we want to have enough left over to be able to discard to increase our bleed with the Haqim's Law Retribution as well. So first up, PH, talk us through Blood Rage.
You just don't want to read that much text, do you?
No, it's because I've not interacted with this card a lot, right. And I think that you might have. It's a card that I read and just went, I don't want this in my deck.
I'll tell you why it's important.
Okay, go
and why it's bad at the same time, right?
Sure.
So Blood Rage, only usable close range, so already a bit sketchy because we want to be going to range with all these manoeuvres quite often. It requires Blood Sorcery at basic. It's hand strike, but damage from the strikes can't be prevented by cards requiring Fortitude, which you're probably all familiar with is the biggest discipline for preventing damage.
Yep.
The opposing vampires strikes with weapons inflict no damage this round. So that can be relevant, can be quite good against an Ivory Bow or Kali's Fang.
Yeah.
Anything that's any flamethrower, something like that, right? Advanced, it's hand strike at +1 damage. It doesn't have a blood cost, so not too bad for extra damage. Not really incredible. I personally don't play it because in a deck where you're doing presses and additional strikes, a strike card just doesn't seem that good. You're doing 3 strikes around, you've got 1 strike card. You're better playing Hunger of Marduk, Torn Signpost, Kassim Bayar's special text. Things that boost it permanently to actually get through. But why it's in the deck, and this is kind of important, is because when you steal all the blood off a guy, you're not sending them to torpor. Yeah. So you go, I'll steal all these, and you're against the Fortitude deck, and they're sitting there bricking on their prevent cards. Yeah. And then you go, so steal 4. You got how much blood you got 4? I'll steal 4, and then I'll additional strike for 1. Yeah. And they go, okay, prevent it. Yeah. And that vampire's going nowhere. You're never torporing it because they're just always going to prevent that 1. Yeah. So this card lets you go, okay, you can't prevent it with Fortitude. And at advanced, it's +1 damage, which is really relevant for cards like Guardian Angel. Yeah. Bear Skin. Any like non-Fortitude prevent is usually 1. Glance and Blow. You know, a lot of cards will do that. So that's why it's in this deck, because it does this very specific thing for what this deck is doing. Yeah. And it overcomes a big obstacle. Yeah. However, I personally don't run it.
Yeah, I don't run it either because first of all, I love Hunger of Marduk. I think it's an absolutely incredible card. Like, it's like the old adage, like if you pay me £20 for something, I'm £40 richer than you because I've gained £20, you've lost £20. That's just how business works. And so if I steal 2 blood off you, I'm 4 blood up in that kind of interaction. And also it's a range strike as well. And so, when I was looking at what cards I'm going to put in the deck and what cards I'm going to take out, Blood Rage, the first line in the text, only usable at close range. I was like, it's out.
Maybe your mispronunciation is the fix.
Yeah.
Blood ranged.
blood ranged.
Make a new card, blood ranged.
Yeah, exactly.
Strike R.
Yeah.
As above, but this hand strike is ranged.
Yeah, exactly. Like that would fix it for me. Yeah. That would get that would just get the card in the deck.
Yeah, you kept in instead a card that is later on. We'll get to.
Yeah.
5 Flash. You've been waiting on that.
No, I just thought of it then.
Yeah. Flash is great. At advanced, it's resist Earth's Grasp at basic, but it doesn't cost blood, which you don't care too much about. But when you're out of blood, it matters. Yeah. You want to get away from those grapples like no one's business. Yeah. Maneuver or press at basic. So basic having options, always good. Both are advanced, which is fantastic.
Amazing card.
Then we have the star card of the deck.
And what a card it is.
10 of 10 big lads, Hunger of Marduk.
Only 10? I don't think
you can read this one since you love it so much.
Yeah, so only usable before range is determined. And so, when you say to your opponent, so before range, and like you've played this, and they just like you see their eyes roll in the back of their head, and you know what's coming.
But you also know if you've got a combat ends based on the way they respond to that.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't.
If you go okay, it's like right, they've got a combat ends.
It doesn't matter though because you've hunters if they can.
Yeah, if you hunters matter. Okay. If you remember to do the advanced,
Yeah, if you remember to. Well, I only ever do the advanced against decks that can, but now I know I can do both. So it's even better than I thought it was, which is great. But steal 2 blood at ranged.
Yeah, this round, this vampire can. So it's important. It's a big difference from the usual theft of Vitae because it gives you the ability. So not only can you cycle a card, but as we see in the deck, you can additional strike for it. Yeah. If you've not figured that one out.
Yeah, exactly. And so speaking of additional strikes, Pursuit, Maneuver, again, like, going Hunger Marduk into Pursuit, Maneuver into long range, just knowing that you're going to be gaining all the blood and they're going to be...
Incorrect. Sorry, one of the lights has just gone out. Even though like the camera's like quite bright, it's pretty pitch black in here for us.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. We'll just carry on.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, fine. You don't need to see much more of our faces anyway. Pursuit. Additional strike at limited as well. But then quickness as well is another way around those limited strikes. So you can pursuit, but then afterwards you can go quickness and do an additional strike that doesn't count towards the limit.
Yeah, at advanced it doesn't count towards the limit, and at basic it's the only card that lets you do an additional strike.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a fantastic card. Next is Rigor Mortem. Really important card actually in this deck, because one of the weaknesses of this deck is those Ivory Bow type decks that will just hit you for, like, I think Luke Greensmith, shout out Luke, he very much calls them like ag poke decks. Just doing
ag pokes are rough for you and unpopular. So,
it is. So Rigor Mortem as well, just preventing that damage, making sure your things get through as well. Here's another card which I personally don't run, but you might want to tell me.
This is blood ranged.
Yeah.
Obviously never read the card. It's blood ranged.
Yeah.
So it's blood rage, but it's 1R damage at basic, and it's 2R at advanced, but it does cost the blood. Mm-hmm. Which seems fairly reasonable. I prefer it to the next card because it does what you want it to. Walk of Flame, not usable during the first round of combat. Blood Sorcery card. Basic 1R ag and advanced strike 2R ag. So this is a bit greedy in my eyes, because the idea is you empty the blood, then you strike 2R ag, and that burns them. Yeah. So they just erased from the game. Doesn't count as dibbly dabbly.
It's my favourite play. It's my favourite play in the deck. Is to steal all your blood and then burn your like, it just feels so disrespectful. It is. So disrespectful.
It is, unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah, it really is.
And obviously burning someone without a blood hunt is it's great against certain decks, but generally it's bad for table balance in my eyes. And the fact that you have to press to do it in the next round, to me, just isn't. I would prefer Soulburn in my list than this.
Right. Okay. Fair play.
I prefer consistency over greediness, but that's just something that's how I play. There's a lot of things that I just look at and go, I'm never playing that.
I think it's okay for me as a 2-of, particularly in this deck. And I think you can afford to also maybe be a little bit greedy in this deck, because Walk of Flame can very easily just become this vampire gets +1 bleed this turn. Again, with Hackham's Law. Like, you love seeing those red cards in your hand. It's nice to have the option, but it's also nice to have the other option of, I'll just bleed you for more, and turn up that clock. So that's the deck. Anyway, that's the pre-con.
Pretty solid. You did actually play this once against some of the other 5e decks and just blitz the table.
Yeah, it was.
It felt a bit naughty. Like straight out the box, you've got a brutal deck.
Yeah, and the fact that you can just get 2 of these and instantly get like a top tier deck.
Or this and a New Blood or whatever.
Well, yeah, definitely, and just
because it's just getting the Hacking Glow numbers up is the main thing.
Yeah.
Personally, I went more like a vote deck with mine, focused on Kasim Bayar a bit more, because I like the fact that if the votes aren't in your favour, you can just get rid of them to beat people up. Mm-hmm. I think his +2 strength ability gets past the prevention issue we were talking about. You can just go, okay, you've got a Fortitude card, great, hit you for 9. So you've got to roll. You've either got rolling with the punches or you don't, right? And it's like, cool. If you play rolling with the punches on the first strike, I'll steal with the others. Yeah. I think that's quite powerful. And being a just the car is obviously good. He's 9, which most just cars are 10.
Yeah.
So you're a bit ahead on a vote count there. There's also, in the New Blood, they've made another prince that's an 8 capacity vampire, which does mean that you could potentially change it into a Zilla's Valley style deck.
Yeah.
Go for bigger cap guys. You could pair them with Tremere and use the Thaumaturgy predominantly, some Obfuscate and Thaumaturgy, and just go for... Or pair them with Malks, and you just go Obfuscate Princes.
Yeah, yeah.
Zilla's Valley them out, Tradition down for more blood. You know, there's a few different angles you can take like that.
Yeah.
But I've kept the combat angle and gone with,
Yeah.
you know, six copies of Hakim's Law Retribution at least.
Anything less than 6 is, you know, definitely
is a war crime.
Yeah, it really is.
And so I've still, like, you know, I've got a bit more in. I think I've gone for 6 and 6 with Swallowed by Night, Resist Earth's Grasp.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to stealth those votes in. If you're against the wall deck, you just discard them for bleed or use them in combat. Beat the crap out of people. But one thing I've added that I think is really lacking in that deck is Flurry of Action. Now, it's a bleed card that a basic, I believe it's you can draw some cards and then discard if the bleed's successful.
Yeah.
It's an action.
Yeah.
But an advanced, if the bleed's successful, you unlock, which really gives power to it because you can use... So say you go, I'll bleed you with Kasim Bayar. That's a 2 already. You've got your obvious bleed buffs, bleed boosts we've talked about so far available. But you get any bleed for 2 with Kasim, you get your edge.
Yeah.
You unlock from the action.
Yeah.
You've then got Kalinda, who you can use that edge to burn to unlock. So you've then got, like... You've bled for free, and then you've got 3 actions remaining.
Yeah.
Which is just...
It's pretty naughty.
I think it's essential for the deck, and I don't know why it wasn't included, to be honest. Maybe because it would have been a bit too good.
Yeah, maybe in like a pre-constructed deck, that is just a bit naughty. So is that the direction that you would take the deck then?
Well, that's what I've done personally. I think there's a lot of different great stuff you can do, because I think any Bruise Bleed shell is going to be bonkers. Yeah. Because what Hakim's Lord does. I do like the idea of, like, being able to still use that and go in stealth. A friend of ours, Cosmo, he was playing his deck in an event on the weekend, and I was quite shocked. He had a lot of dodges. So, because there's a lot of Celerity dodge cards. So I was playing the Garrix Wall, and I kept getting in combat with him. I immediately, like, when I look at what everyone's playing, I'm like, right, Magic of the Smith, I'm getting Ivory Bow. Because I think I had a combat deck to the right. I can't remember too well. But so every time I block him, he'd just be like, dodge, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. Press, and he'd be like, press against you. I'm like, sound. Yeah. Because he knew he'd get agged, so he's like, well, why bother?
There's no point,
And I was his predator, so he doesn't care about stealing my beads. He's like,
do whatever you want,
So then that gave a lot of good versatility. He wasn't playing acrobatics, he was running Sidestep, I think it's called. So it's similar to Pursuit. A basic, it's dodge, advanced additional strike. That was quite cool. Yeah. You've done something quite different with yours.
Well, yeah, so I think you kind of, like, hit the nail on the head for me as to, like, where I would go with it kind of by accident, which is, you know, you've mentioned this idea of, like, well, I saw that he was playing Bruise Bleed, so I just went and got Ivory Bow. Yeah. So the issue for me is, like, if I start investing things like Zilla's Valleys and stuff like that into big 8-9 caps, and then start, like, bringing them all out, I only have to have one combat to go wrong for me to be really out the game. So, you know, I personally don't, run Kasim Bayer, and, you know...
Yeah, a lot of decks cut him because of his high capacity.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, you know, when you get into combat with someone, you are taking a risk. You know, they could easily start beating you up as well. But... So for me, I kind of go all in on the combat. You know, I've cut the political actions for now, which is, you know, something that I'm kind of, like, experimenting with, I guess. But because I have, like, quite a few little guys, it might be worth running something like a Boon in there as well, or, like, you know,
if you've got the votes to support.
Yeah, exactly, like. Because, you know, we were talking before about how, you know, this deck, other than the Verlaine, like, can struggle to get the, you know,
that's why the parity shifts are
the blood back, and so, you know, I personally think that I wouldn't run a parity shift. I would rather run a
consanguineous boon.
Consanguineous boon. Yeah, there you go.
It's only good with 4-letter words.
Yeah. Sure. but yeah, so I've kind of gone all in on the combat. I've gone for 6 Hack and Claw, Retribution, 14 Hunger of Marduk, 6 and 6 as well.
And you run Kabar Glory as well, right? I think I run
yeah,
that as well.
Yeah, Kabar Glory is like so good because one, it's just a +1 bleed in general. Like, there's nothing wrong with because you're going to be bleeding your opponent every turn anyway. So just turn one of them into something that your opponent gets scared into blocking, and then you just go, it was never my plan to oust you this turn anyway, just and just like start absolutely battering them, which is pretty
also
fun.
Good predator bait as well.
Yeah, it is, it really is. It's fantastic bait. But also, if it goes off, it's pretty tasty.
It's easy to cycle as well. Like I think I had in my Web of Knives deck, and I remember like getting Basir out turn 1 on 1 transfer of it. Then it comes around to me, and I go, Kabar Glory.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, he's gonna bleed the crap out of you. And then I was like, make a Web of Knives.
Yes.
Got it out of my hand.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to draw more Web of Knives and more combat. So you're just like, right.
Yeah, and so, but that for me is kind of where I took the deck, which was just going completely all in on combat and then bleed, kind of crater them, then bleed them out, and or just let them make the choice of whether they would like to be crated or be bled out. I've gone much more heavy on the second trads as well, like, because that is the defense mechanism in the deck as well. I cut the tension in the ranks. Obviously some people think it's a staple, but I don't necessarily really care about people going to torpor that much. Obviously the priority contract is something that I will put in there, and if I feel the need to get that off, then I'll adjust my strategy accordingly. But other than that, the other cards that I've got in there are things like the Black Throne as well. It's something that
decent vote defense
gets
helps you push through if you do run your own votes as well.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And 4 Blood Doll as well is something that I run. I think it's one of those cards that again, me and you were discussing how this deck can suffer a little bit to those more aggressive decks and can struggle to get the blood back. But with me stealing so much blood, it would be rude to not be putting it back into my pool every turn as well. So that's why the Blood Dolls are in there as well.
I was just gonna say with the Zilla's version, what you're saying about them getting like top Ds and stuff. So if I built the deck in that way, I'd build it quite. I wouldn't build a Retribution deck. I'd actually build it quite differently. Because one thing I find quite funny, I just have to double check the wording to make sure I'm not losing the plot. But like, if you go big caps, I'd use like Mirror Walk instead. So that's like basic no one tells you +1 stealth. You don't replace until you discard. But then at Superior, if you're blocked, you can just cancel the combat.
Yeah.
So you can pair that with your Obfuscate against the wall deck. You're just like so you don't risk the ag poke.
Yeah.
But what I really like the idea of doing with it is playing Priority Contract and Banishment together. So you can just Priority Contract, Banishment next turn, Priority Contract, Banishment, Priority Contract, Banishment, because they're leaving the ready region, so you're going to get that 3 pool.
I love that. Yeah.
It's a stupid combo, but it's funny, right?
It's a naughty deck. Yeah. And also the fact that like Priority Contract is a trifle as well. It kind of like doesn't interfere with your normal master phases as well. So yeah, pretty nice. Nice.
You could with Zilla's Valley as well. Because you're paying that 5, you always fall behind, which turns on your parity shifts. So you can kind of Banishment and parity shift and stuff like that, and turn it into more of a total different beast, I'd say.
But there is another way to go with this deck, isn't there?
There
is a third way. a third way, and I'll bring it up here.
I think I'd say there's more than 3.
Well, yeah,
we want to have a look at like decks that are winning stuff. So
by some of the top players in the world.
Yeah, and we've recently befriended Martin Wademeyer.
Yeah,
who reached out to you after your national championship win with Stanislava.
Yeah,
Mr. Stanislava himself messaged the other Mr. Stanislava.
Yeah,
could this be the start of a double Stanislava relationship? We don't.
Yeah, know. So just for context, like
if you live together, you'd be contesting the bedroom.
Yeah, oh my god. So, just for context, I did win the UK National Championship. Woo!
I know what Clapham's going to translate.
So yeah, that was like obviously a massive achievement for me. Playing a deck that I really love, Stanislava. You know, I've spoken about it on the channel before. I did bring an amended version, which I did feel would be a little bit more appropriate to the meta that was... I felt was going to be there, something that was a bit more stable instead of aggressive, and so it went really well. And then Martin Wademeyer reached out to me afterwards, and after we saw the post online, and we started discussing a couple of little bits about the deck and some of our card selections and choices that we make, because obviously the Stanislava 25 deck that I originally purchased those years ago was based on
his deck.
On his deck, of course. So for him to see someone go a little bit different with it, and also win some events, that was pretty cool as well. But he's obviously a fantastic player, and so when he does something and when he wins a tournament with a deck that we're trying to take notice of, it is important that we pay attention to it. And he went a completely different route to us. He's playing like Asha Tablets and everything in his deck.
Well, Asha Tablets are quite popular with Haqim's Law because you go through your deck so quick.
Yeah.
If you're running, like he's got here, 7 Haqim's Law Retribution, you're going to be discarding 21-ish cards a turn.
Yeah.
Putting them back in. He's not running Victoria Ash, which I was surprised at. She's the Toreador promo who lets you discard a card to give Banu Haqim +1 bleed, and she's in group 6 or 7. So she's great.
And they're all group 6s, aren't they? So,
obviously can't benefit from the Haqim's Law itself, but she's incredible for dealing with that cloggy hand. So you can go, okay, well I've got these, so I'm going to bleed this guy, and I'll discard this action card as well. Yeah. And when this guy bleeds, I'll discard this action card. So she can let you cycle a good few cards that are on combat to dig to the ones you need for the Haqim's Law. Yeah, so I think she's fantastic. Yeah.
And then also he's gone a little bit more votey as well, with 8 political actions in there as well. Anarchist Uprising, Ancillary Empowerment, KRC, and obviously one of my least favourite cards, Parity Shift as well.
It's good in these lists, I think.
It is. No, and obviously, there's a little bit of a difference with what he's going for as well. But
I don't know if it's good in this list though, to be honest. But this list, I don't know how much he's tested, and he clearly done really well in the finals league. But one thing you kind of need to pay attention to as well with league results. If it's like an online league, it's a different deck each round, if you want it to be. So he does state in this post, he only played it in the final, so we don't know if he's made a lot of changes to the deck afterwards or what didn't work. But
anyway, Martin, reach out to us. By the way,
let us know. Feel free
we'd love to get you on the podcast as well, and we'd love to have you talk through your decks and your choices. That'd be amazing. But
no pressure on air or anything, but.
Yeah.
We're expecting it now.
We are. We give the people what they want, mate. But talk to me about Sidestrike as well, Peach.
Sidestrike's I think the one I was mentioning earlier. Yeah. The Paul O'Connor Cosmo was running.
Yeah.
One of our local players. Mm-hmm. He's quite well known and worldwide actually because he goes to the ECs all the time.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Great player as well.
Shout out Cosmo.
Cosmo.
Great player, great guy.
Not to be confused with the dog called Cosmo, who's also in our playgroup.
No.
Not named after him, I don't think.
No.
But anyway, Side Strike. So Side Strike is dodge a basic, advanced, additional strike. Celerity card.
So it kind of sounds like, Martin has taken into account all of the problems that me and you have just kind of described there, and said, well, Mikey's problems is that, like, there's not enough votes in the deck, and so he's brought a few of them in, and you've said, well, there's not that much stability in the deck, and so he's brought in things like Asha Tablets, and
tons of stealth there too.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really good, and so I'm really impressed by this deck, and I can't wait to try it out for myself.
It's got Narrow Minds in there too, which is a great addition to punish people who are trying to deflect you.
Yeah.
Cost them an extra blood. But yeah, the reason I'm not too keen on the Parrot Shift in here, he's got 3 Element, which is like a bleed reduction card. Unless I'm remembering it wrong, I'm pretty sure it reduces bleeds. Then he's got the Villains as well. So I feel like it's a dead card. You've only got 1 Cassim by Art to discard 2. It's a bit of a dead card if you don't have an aggressive predator. But the upside to that is if you don't have an aggressive predator, you can afford to have a dead card because you don't have any pressure. If your pressure's low, you don't need to worry about having a dead card, really.
Yeah, precisely.
So it seems like pretty solid. He's gone more into the action modifiers.
Flurry of action in there as well.
Yeah, flurry of action, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Makes a show, and I think an important card. 4 seems like a reasonable number to me.
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of action modifiers for extra stealth, 4 Mirror Walk, 4 Lost in Crowds, and 2 Veil Allegiance. So he's focusing more on the bleed and vote.
Yeah.
But then building himself to a point where he can punish people if they do try and...
Wait, Martin Waymare focusing on vote and bleed? I've never heard of that before. Yeah,
it's man of your own art.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Yeah,
pretty solid deck. So we talked about the decks and our experiences with it. What's your experience playing against it?
Terrible. it's so bad to play against, especially like as someone who kind of relies on strike combat ends. Usually, so for me, Stanislava player would love to, just earth meld out of every combat, and usually I try to. And strike dodge as well is quite good with former Mr. Basic. However, if you strike dodge with your former mist, then you just go okay press, and you're like like you can't combat ends, but you can dodge it, and then they go cool. I'll now use my optional press, and I'm like, great. And it's like by the end of it, it's like that old Simpsons meme. It's like stop, it's already dead. And so yeah, it's awful to play against, and there are several defenses though that you can bring to it. So this deck does get hurt by aggravated damage.
Yeah.
In quite a big way as well, because things like Ivory Bows, things like what's the one that's played quite a lot in like Gangrel Wall decks, Claws.
Oh, Claws of the Dead.
Claws of the Dead.
Any make hands ag cards.
Yeah.
Well, I've only played against it really with Garrix Wall or with the Gangrel Anarchs deck. And with the Gangrel Anarchs, it was a pain in the ass because you're trying to grind your opponents out and they're just stealing 6 blood every combat. So I find like the best thing to do with it is just fight them with low blood. You run the risk that they can just hit you multiple times with celerity. Yeah. But that's why I think that Soulburn is a good card. Yeah. Because if you're going to try and hit me with celerity, you're going to have to be up close. You're going to have to punch me. And unless you got Cassim by R, you're only hitting me for the 1. Yeah. And if I'm playing Gangrel, I'm hitting for 1 or 2. Yeah. And I can make it ag. Mm-hmm. So I like them odds.
Yeah. Never tell me the odds.
So I found like the best way to play it is just go at them with a rustling. You go, I've got a 2 capacity vampire with Protean. Let's have a fight. They go strike steal 2. You go, I'll spend the only blood on him and hit you for ag. And they go, ow. And you go, yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
And the other experience was with Garrix, in which he's got Hunger of Mordecai's special text, basically, so he can strike, steal, 2 blood. Yeah. So you tend to steal blood, then they steal it, and then you just have to defend like the rack or keep a hunting ground, and then next turn you'll have a blood on them. Yeah. And then they'll steal your blood, and you'll be like, cool, ivory bow. Yeah. And then you've got to kind of just don't give them the resources, is my advice. That's the best thing you can do. And you've probably experienced it yourself playing it, where someone keeps blocking with low blood, and you're like, I'm trying to fill this guy up here. Can you give me a break? Like, laying down a lot is pretty good.
Well, I mean, if you Hunter's Mark as well, like, you kind of need to have the stealth with it as well. Like, that's really important, because you go like, I'll brush your big guy, and they go block with my other guy, and you go,
You want to try and manage good income of blood, and just try and not have too much blood in one place. Try and spread it around a bit, I guess, is the best way to do it. If you're playing a Star Vampire, they're going to steal 6 blood off you, so don't leave it on 11. Like, that's...
I think one of the things that we haven't mentioned about this deck yet, though, is like, when I've been playing it, you have so much influence at the table. You have a lot of influence at the table, because, you know, as well, to quote PJ and use your words, you can send a message. And so, but also, like, you can interact and you can stop other people's combos, or their usual flight plan with their deck, and you can cross table rush someone. That's not an issue, if they're getting out of hand.
Yeah, you can threaten with violence, and you've got a lot of passive votes as well. So everyone knows the power of your deck. No one wants to mess with you. Yeah. But on the flip side, if you drop 4 Hunger of Arctics, people are going to notice you. And they might stop wanting to work with you, because they need you dead. So.
Well, yeah. But also, like, what are they going to do about it? Like... It's a genuine question. Like, so for me, it's like, it's so easy for me to say to someone at the table, like, if they're calling a KLC, you can get like that extra pool, or even negotiate for 2 pool, or for example, like, someone did a boon the other day, and I had all the votes on the table. Like, I have vote control, even though I had no votes in the deck. I said, well, I'll let it pass if you call it for I almost said Asamite then. if you call
they're interchangeable, you can use both. I believe Asamite was a slayer in the law.
Well, that's why they changed it.
Well, the clan kind of identified themselves. We're going to talk about law.
We'll move on to that as like the last little part before we talk about briefly some other decks. But I got someone to call a boon for Banu Haqim, and then I said, I won't vote against your next one. And they went, sure, I guess that's the way it's got to be. That's the way it's got to be. I went, otherwise you can just do nothing.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And if you've got the thing is, if that player has a voter captivation, it's the only way they're going to get anything out of it. Yeah. So
exactly. So that was pretty nice. But also, like, you can make deals with other people and say, because you can become like a hired hitman. And so, well, if you do this for me, I can, see that vampire that's causing you some trouble, I can go and sort them out, basically. And so
and sometimes you need to deal with them for yourself as well. Like, you can sell to your predator that their predator, that you're going to do something to their predator when you need to anyway, because otherwise they'll win the game. And you can be like, right, will you do this for me? Don't bleed me for 2 turns, because I'm gonna wipe out Stanislava over there. And they'll be like, okay. And you're like, cool, because that was gonna oust you at me next turn. So I had to do it anyway. But now I'm not getting bled for 2 turns.
Exactly.
Yeah, throw your weight around. Muscle up on people.
Well, of course. Let us know as well. Like, all of you, if you're still watching, by the way, thank you. But let us know what you would do with the deck as well in the comments.
You'll tune out after your intro.
Yeah, probably.
You were like, sorry, I haven't done a video in a while. Don't worry about it, and turned it off.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the whole vid. Oh, cool, that was a nice short vid. Yeah. But seriously though, like, get in touch with us. We'd love to reply, interact with all of you in the comments section, or feel free to find us on Facebook. We're usually floating about some of the old tES groups as well. So
if there's anything you want us to talk about, let us know, because no point is making videos about stuff people don't want us talking about. So if you let us know, we know.
Yeah. So as we move into the final part of this podcast then, PJ, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Banu Haqim then?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people confused about the name change.
Yeah.
Because they're just Assamites. Well, there's a big difference, really. Because the Banu Haqim have left, what's it called? Alamut, which is like where most of them lived. It's like their kind of enclave. So Shugli, who has possibly the worst artwork in the game ever, which I'll edit up here now, he gets out of torpor, right, and he's like the eldest of the clan at the moment. So he's like, right, you all need to worship Hakim, who is the antediluvian, the Banu Haqim, right? He's like the big dog on top,
the head honcho.
He's the absolute ancient son of Cain kind of guy.
Le Grand Fromage.
Fromage, yeah. Big boy Hakim. He is our god. Yeah. And most of them, considering they are predominantly Muslim as a clan, were very much like, that sounds like blasphemy to me, guys.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you're all blasphemous. And then Al Ashrad, who has also been in this card, a friend of ours made like a star out, but he's pretty cool. He was like, F you, dude. Yeah. That's not what we're about. So they all left. Not exclusively the Muslim vampires, but like most of them left. And only the ones who like wanted to worship Hakim stayed with Al Ashrad. So all these guys left, and we're just like, that's ridiculous. There's a Muslim. You
basically had like a reformation.
Yeah. And there's a Muslim sect called the Ashura. Yeah. I think I got that right. Then, which a lot of the Assamites are in, and they've signed a treaty with the Camarilla, which allowed the Banu Haqim to join. So that's what the schism was. I think you probably get quite into it.
Schism, yeah.
You love a good.
I love a good schism
as a theologian, yeah. So
one part of the Church of England, man. We're born out of schism. So. Yeah.
Brothers in arms with Banu Haqim there. So that's the reason that there was a big change in there in the Camarilla now. Interesting to some, I think. Probably.
Yeah, well, if you don't know, now you know. Yeah. There you go. The more you know.
if you don't know, you do know.
Yeah. And shall we rate this deck then?
Martin's or the Precon.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the Precon then.
The Precon is gotta be up there. If you were making a tournament and you were like, you've got to grab the Precon, that's got to be one of the top choices.
Out of 13 Bobby Lemons.
I'd give it 11 or 12.
11 or 12 Bobby Lemons.
It's a big boy deck, innit?
I mean, like, well, as a Precon, so if the format was Preconstructed. Yeah. So, like, if you are looking to go out and invest in a new deck,
you're getting one of the 5th edition Precon decks.
Yeah. Get the Banu Haqim one. Don't mess around.
Yeah, this is just great.
Save yourself a job.
But they're quite well balanced though as well. With like the Brujar deck will give this one a hard time, right?
Yeah.
Because it'll just be like the Gangrel's got ag poke as well.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot to deal with that. But I think it's just really, if you want to get something out of the box and play with your mates, this is one of the most competitive decks in that.
Yeah, absolutely fire. It's one of those decks in which, so for me, I bought 2 of them, and then just immediately went on to the tournament winning deck archive and was like, oh, I can build most of these. like card for card, by the way, not making any, sacrifices anywhere, or not like playing any cards out of place. Like, it was literally just playing someone else's tournament winning deck and just not messing around. And it was great. So yeah, I'm definitely like as a precon, I'm going for 12 Bobby Lemons. Like it's absolutely incredible. You can't go too far wrong with it. Yeah. What about Martin's deck then?
Martin's looks pretty good. It's not quite how I'd play it. Quite a bit. It's a bit sort of like between what I've got now and what I was suggesting of doing the Zilla's version, because he's got those like mirror walks. He's got a lot of stealth in. I'm surprised there's not like a single. I guess you want to do a lot of bleeds though. So Forgotten Labyrinth's probably not going to go in. I feel like 7 Haqim's Law Retribution is a lot for only 36 combat cards. But he is running the Asha Tablets to get them back.
Also true. Yeah.
Personally, I feel like this deck could do with the Barons and maybe Fragment of Book and Nod or Dreams of the Sphinx to get a bit more discard in there. Because, but even then, I guess he's probably, actually, now I think about it, he's probably using Flurry Action at basic to draw and discard rather than unlock. At which point you can get rid of excess Alamuts, excess Haqim's Laws, excess Stealth if you don't need it. You know, it's quite a versatile version of the deck. And I think he describes it himself as like, it's a con job. He wants to go, I'm just playing a vote stealth deck, and then get blocked, and then be like, right, now the fun begins. Which is why we don't see any priority contracts in there. I think it's a pretty solid list. It's not how I'd play it personally, but that's part of what makes Vita so beautiful, is that like, I couldn't win a tournament with someone else's deck.
No,
they couldn't win with mine. It's very down to how it suits you and your talk and your play.
And that's interesting because for me, like I look at Martin's list and I think that's kind of everything I hope for the deck, but also like I just love the simplicity of just the pure beat you up package that I run in my own version of the deck as well. Like there's no messing about with it. You know, if you know me as a VTES player, you know that I want a strategy and you know I want to stick to it, and you know I don't want to mess around or deviate from the plan. Whereas like this deck that Martin's got probably suits him a lot better as well. So I think
the 1200 Marduk's interesting because there's only 6 side strike. So it feels like he's more playing it like you would play a Theft of Vitae than playing Steal 6, go all in, blah, 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 which is like what a lot of people want to do with this deck, because that's just what feels good to do. But it's nice.
This deck's a lot more patient.
That's a good way of putting it. It's a lot more patient, this deck. It's weirdly it's more my style than what you have built, but mine's quite a bit different still.
How many Bobby Lemons?
I think it needs more Kassim Bayar in my eyes.
Okay. You love that card.
Yeah.
To be fair.
He's running a new Prince as well though, which is cool.
Yeah.
Good to see that getting run.
The new 8 cap. You're not going to attempt to say
I'm
that.
Not gonna.
But PJ will put it here in post production.
It's got the word fun in a name, so that's always a good start.
Mr. Punchy Fun Funds.
Honestly, can't remember what our text is, to be honest with you. But yeah, so solid build. I'd give it 9 or 10 Bobby Lemons.
Yeah, definitely, it's really good.
9.5 Bobby Lemons.
Oh, you can't. What is that?
Because now it's on a 26, isn't it?
No, but if you have 9.5 Bobby Lemons, does that mean it's a Bobby Lemon slice? I can't believe if anyone's still watching, I'm really sorry. Like, this is what you've stayed on for, and it just wasn't worth it.
You all switched off after your action joke, didn't you?
Yeah. And
let's get back into the action.
With the actions. Come on, mate, just let me cook. Like,
thanks for watching.
See you next time on Lives from the Tabletop.